Why, hello, this is Robbie from Southern California. It's early in the morning, and I just wanted to do an update because I was going to do a winter garden. Well, I'm going to be honest, I scrapped it. There's the bucket I had planted in the winter garden, and the lettuce has been growing wonderfully. Yes, you're going to say, look, it looks really small. You know what? It does, because I continue to pull all the time the outer leaves, and we just keep using it and using it. I didn't have to do a winter garden, even though we still have another month, 5 weeks left, maybe it's 6 weeks left of winter. Our winter, we've had some really cold nights where it's gotten even down to like 38, 40 degrees, but then we've warmed up again. So as far as a winter garden, I'm not going to bother. As you can see, I've got tomatoes still growing. I've even got squash still growing. The chair garden, the only reason it isn't doing that well is because of this great big California pepper tree. So it shades it all day and it's not getting that much sunlight. But you know what? Even in the winter, with the little bit of sunlight it's getting, I am still growing peppers, which I do believe is because of this. It is sheltering the peppers. So if you notice, they're growing the peppers on the base of the plant, not where the wind gets to or the coolness is, but around the rim of this pot. So it's staying just warm enough for it to continue to grow peppers down there. Of course, the lettuce is doing phenomenally. Look at this. I keep pulling lettuce and moving them everywhere. I grow a field of lettuce, and then over here, I'll take you over here, I spot them around. I separate them because they separate so easy. I've done a whole video on it. Go check it if you want to grow lettuce that way. And as soon as I spot them through, look at that. Look how big they get. And then, of course, you can move them in the containers, food containers, flower pots, whatever you want to do. Just by growing the lettuce I'm growing here, I don't have to be worrying about each individual lettuce. I pull them as I need them. See, I've pulled a whole bunch out here, and I just keep pulling them. Look at this, baby lettuce. I just sprinkle the seeds in there, let it grow, and then move them. Not all vegetable plants you can move that easily, but lettuce doesn't go into shock. Lettuce is the opposite. You plant it and it springs to life. It goes, oh my gosh, I can spread and get bigger and bigger. So I love growing lettuce. Secret on lettuce, we'll get more into lettuce later. Try different lettuce and then pick the one that grows the best in your yard and your area. Every lettuce is different. I have tried freckled lettuce, didn't reproduce, didn't grow good. I've tried different butter lettuce. I've grown all kinds of head lettuce, iceberg lettuce. Nothing grows like plain old romaine. Now keep in mind, the romaine lettuce, what it did was it went to seed, which means to me, I love Mother Nature. That plant was really happy here because they all went to seed, and the seeds reproduced so well, tells me that this picked its place. This was the lettuce for me, and that's the one I concentrate on. I did just recently buy some seeds. I bought some red lettuce. I'm going to try a form of red lettuce, and if it does good, it does good. And if it doesn't, no biggie, no loss. I have tons of romaine lettuce along with everything else. We'll get a lot into lettuce soon. Celery, the tomato plants, I'm thinking I may take most of them out. See how when we got really cold, they're struggling so much. I'll cut them back and see what happens. And if they come back from the base, if the base is still alive and they come back, that's good. If not, there are tons of seedlings. Let me show you. Seedlings coming up everywhere, waiting for spring, just hanging out, and they're just waiting to see, look at this, here's more, when the weather is right. And when the weather's right, the strongest will survive. You know what this is? Popolo down here, just hanging on. It's really past the season for popolo. And I do believe over here, oh yeah, no, that's a tree. You know what that is? I think it's a pepper tree. Probably from Mother Pepper Tree up here. But see, there's tomatoes back there. Here's a little tomato. They're just waiting for the right time. And here's parsley. Parsley grew beautiful here. Again, and then of course the San Marzano, that grew gorgeous, and that is staying. I'm going to cater to that tomato plant and leave that one. The rest we'll see. The celery I'll leave. And some of these totes I'm just going to freshen up. But as far as a winter garden, I didn't knock myself out planting a winter garden because there were plenty of food for us. The Swiss chard in the truck bed is growing like mad. All three varieties in there, the red, the green, and the red and green multicolored ones. The tomato plants, they may look bad, but let me tell you something. These taste wonderful. So we've got like 100 tomatoes here, not counting what's on the wall and around the property in different places. So I just wanted to do an update as what did I do in the winter garden? Nothing. I'll tell you what I'm doing now. I'm getting ready to make a brand new garden. And this is going to be phenomenal. I am so excited. I wish I could put it all together in one day, and I probably could, but I'm going to go at my pace, go slowly, because my mind has just been going on all these different things I can do even through here. I pulled the chair out that was there. I'm going to move my bucket where the lettuce is growing on the top. And I'm going to change all this up. Look at all this. This is food. So there was no reason to grow a winter garden. Look at it, sunflower seeds. It just went and threw a sunflower in the winter, and I am got seeds in there. That is just canary grass growing from the canary seed that the birds get. They feed around the yard. I haven't even picked out squash yet. That's a whole tub. That's not even supposed to be there, of celery growing. I mean, my daughter even asked me the other day, how in the world do you have so many peppers? I don't know. This black cobra just keeps going and going, continues to flower, and keeps growing. That's all my lettuce in the buckets. I love the buckets and totes. There's nothing wrong. Oh, there's a hummingbird. Nothing wrong with growing in the ground. If you can grow in the ground, that's fine. But look at our ground. We have hard clay, number one. Number one problem. Number two problem, we have tons of trees. So as long as I want to keep the trees around, we're going to have tree roots invading any plants we grow in the ground. So that's number two. Number three, well, we have gophers. And gophers love vegetable plants. So I kid you not, they'll even take out trees sometimes. So that is the big thing. And then number four, we do have other rodents too. So by planting in totes, I have eliminated my root problem. I've eliminated pretty much everything. As far as other rodents, sometimes I do have to put tulle on. And if they bother something, they don't really bother too much the peppers. I actually put this here. This is bunched up. It is covering all these peppers that are still growing in winter. That is more from the sun. The sun was so bright, a few weeks ago, it got really, really hot, which it was 80 degrees yesterday. It got so warm, yes, 80 degrees in the winter, that I've covered it and I kind of left it. I could take it off now. But look at the celery's growing. I've got green sorrel growing. A lot of it, this will have to be trimmed back, but look at the tomatoes. This is a Goliath tomato. My daughter bought some plants and gave me 3 of them, which I have all 3 are alive, but one of them in the garden that's sitting in the middle of the yard, pretty much on its way out. But the 2 that are up against this warm wall, that one, and there's another one over there, are doing great. Now this, I had a problem. I guess it wasn't birds, because if it was birds, the birds wouldn't be deterred because I didn't cover the top. But it must have been a rat or something got up there and was chewing my tomatoes. By simply putting in 4 tomato stakes and just wrapping it around with this tool, and I'll put a link to the tool that I use, I eliminated my problem. And it is still growing tomatoes. Look, here's flowers. Here's more tomatoes. Look at this. I've been picking tomatoes almost every day. We had 2 tomatoes yesterday, and they're big. So you can eliminate a lot of your problems. Can't get rid of everything. And as far as tool, I love tool, but keep in mind, if I tooled everything that you see here, I literally went through and tooled every single plant, that might cause a problem, because at that point, if you've got some hungry critters there, they're going to figure out what tool is. You don't want them to figure out what tool is. You want them to touch it, go up to it and go, ooh, I don't like this. I don't know what the feel is. My nails get stuck in those tiny little holes. And it doesn't bother birds, by the way. Birds do not get stuck. So they go on to look for something else, and they just don't bother with it. They leave it. So that's it. Wanted to do like a 5-minute update, which we already went into 10 minutes, to say that because everything is still growing, all my greens are growing in the garden. Let's walk really quick in the main garden. So instead of going to the main garden, I decided first to come quickly to the deck garden. Now on the deck garden, you can see I'm still growing moringa, which I use for a green drink. I've got all kinds of things growing, and I haven't done anything in here. I've got basil still growing. I've got over here mint. I've got Swiss chard. I've got green sorrel growing. I've got celery and parsley growing. Let's walk over here. Look at this beautiful red vein sorrel. Celery. I've got all kinds of things. Lettuce I'm growing in containers. I've got all kinds of things growing, just growing. So instead of setting up a full winter garden, I figured I'm just going to let things be because, we got to get into this. This has been phenomenal, this setup. I haven't watered that since the day I planted those seeds. We'll get into that another day. There is Gary's garden. And in Gary's garden, you know, the hummingbirds come here and feed. He has got a hummingbird nesting not in the banana plants, but on the bananas. We have never seen a hummingbird build a nest on the banana. She wove it around. We'll go look at it more closely once she's actually done off that nest. But I figured if these hummingbirds have got another one right around the corner there on a nest, and they're all there in that pine tree there, they're in the pepper tree, they're all over the place. I mean, can you imagine all these trees here? They're probably in the orange trees here as well as the orange trees down there because they are just eating so much food. I'm going through 3 to 4 gallons a day. So I figured if they're already nesting all over the property, my guess is, because I go by Mother Nature, but you know, I could be wrong, I think we're going to have a mild winter and go straight into spring. For the past couple years here in our part of Southern California, we've had a really cold winter and cold spring, but they're nesting all over the place, and I do believe that the hummingbirds know best. So I'm going to take their word for it, unless they're fooling me, or maybe they're just in a hurry because right now we've got some good weather. But I think we're going to have a really mild winter, so I can start working right now on my spring garden with you. Now let's go into the main garden real quick. And if you want to see the video, I did put the video up on the hummingbird that is nesting in those banana trees over there, not on the bananas that are in there. That's where the bananas are. And that is where the food source is. And Gary can't work in there right now. He decided to not work that much. He didn't even know they were there until he was working the other day. He looked up and he came up and said, like 3 days ago, guess what I've got in my bananas? And I had to run down there. And of course, I put the video up for you because that was just the first. Well, anyways, wanted to share that with you now. Let's go real quick into my main garden, which is right on the other side of that little shed. We're in the main garden. And as you can see, there was no reason for me here in Southern California to worry about anything until spring. So I'm getting ready for my new garden. I've been clearing things out that don't look good, like the tree colored had to go out. That's a tree colored. The dazzling blue kale is still growing. There's more tree colored. This hybrid that I'm going to cater to and try to get a lot of that growing. See, celery is still growing. There's a lot of different things that are still growing. So there was no reason for me to knock myself out, try to get things growing when I've got dinosaur kale, I've got mushroom plant. We did get rid of the table here. You'll see that on the garden tour. Moving things around. So that's why, and lemon verbena is still growing. This is why I did not go crazy making a winter garden, because my summer garden is still growing a winter garden. So I just wanted to make an update on that because I know a lot of you ask me, well, what happened to this? What happened to that? And I want to make sure that anything I do has an update for you. So I hope I've answered your questions. I've got to go fix a bird feeder that probably the squirrel knocked down and go through here and fill all this up for the birds. So have a wonderful, wonderful day. And don't forget to eat what you grow. And we're going to do a lot of solar fountains this year too. Bye-bye. See, all fixed. Little wire. Now we just go through. And in 5 minutes, I will have hundreds of birds. Song sparrows, house finches, white-crowned sparrows, towies. I don't know, all kinds of birds. I've got a video up. We have 50 plus species of birds that visit this one yard. Unbelievable.